Welcome, young explorers. Today's adventure takes us to the British Museum, home to some amazing treasures from an ancient Roman Empire. Have you ever heard of the Romans? They were skilled builders, artists, and inventors who lived thousands of years ago, creating a powerful empire that spread across Europe and beyond. In the British Museum, you'll find fascinating objects that offer glimpses into Roman life. There's dazzling jewelry, coins of the faces of Roman emperors, and even beautifully crafted glassware and pottery that Roman families used every day. Each piece has its own unique story to tell about how people lived, worked, and played in ancient Rome. The Romans built grand buildings, wrote famous books, and created laws and languages that influence the way we live today. So as we explore these artifacts, we'll be stepping into a wonderful world of imagination, history, and adventure. Let's dive in and discover the wonders of the ancient Roman Empire together.
My name is Victoria and I am 8 years old. I think the first picture is a pipe to pump up water from wells into sinks. I think it is a pipe because it looks almost as if there's like a few holes in there and it could lead to a lot of people's houses. I think it's made out of metal because it looks rather rusty. I think the second picture is an ancient Rome teapot because it has a spout and it looks like it could put a lot of drinks in it. I think it was used to celebrate after winning wars to give the people who are attending the celebration some beer or tea.
I think the tools on the first picture are for a blacksmith because the tools on the left look rusted from the fire and tweezers could be used for melting the iron and steel. In the second picture, I think they are used for measuring and fixing furniture because the one on the right looks like it's for cutting because it has a big wedge to cut, and the other four tools look like scissors, and tweezers can be used for measuring.
So first off, we have the lamp. Whilst everybody says that this was a bottle of drinking wine, this is not a drinking wine. In fact, it was a clever lamp, you see. The light can shine out of the tunnel, and, this is a clever contraption. But what we have today is not really what we have in the ancient days. They look very different. For example, a lamp today looks like a dangling ball. Well, this looks like more like a cup or like a gun even. But it's not a gun, it's a lamp, first of all. It's like a flashlight sort of contraption, but it's a lamp that looks like a flashlight. The other one, everybody said it was used for blacksmithing. However, it was not used for blacksmithing. Blacksmithing usually use other tools such as hammers instead of these. These are basically the ancient ancestors of rulers and protractors. These are used for mathematicians to measure stuff. They can rotate. Basically, it looks like a spiky protractor. That's what I'm gonna say. That's about it.
Hi, Sophia.
Hi.
Can you tell me what's this? What do you think?
I think it's a lyre.
What's a lyre?
It's an instrument.
Instrument? Why? Why do you think it's an instrument?
Because I read this book called the Lair's Book of Greek Myths, and it says that the Olympian Hermes made the first. Hermes, the god of merchants, thief, god of shepherds, travelers, merchant, thieves, and all others who live by their wits. He made the first lyre. He first sacrificed to the 12 Olympian gods, not forgetting to include himself as the 12th. Then he took the entrails of the sacrificed cows, made 7 strings of them, and strung them tautly across the empty tortoise shell. When he plucked the strings, they made the.
And how do they make music sound?
So I think it's because the tortoise shell, when it's hollow, if you go into a cave and you yell, it makes like an echo. Mm-hmm. I think when you pluck the strings, it will make the sound louder because I think the strings are thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker.
And then when you pluck it, it will make a sound because it makes like an echo kind of.
So it's like your cello. And the shell is like a drum.
Yeah.
So you make music sound from it.
Hello, my name is Julia, and I'm 5 years old.
Could you tell me what do you think this is?
It's a coin.
It looks like a coin to you?
Yes.
Okay. What's on the coins? The upper one is what?
It's an officer looking at someone, and an elephant with a hat.
Ooh, if it's a coin, how much money do you think it's worth for?
20 for the person one, 11 for the horse one.
This is ancient bread, the ancient bread of Pompeii, the city that was destroyed years ago, many, many, many years ago, from a big volcanic eruption. Now, this bread is a mixture of sourdough bread and grainy bread. They used to eat this a lot, and everyone from Pompeii had access to this bread, even the pheasants. It's not only the royalty that can eat this bread. It was like white bread right now. Everybody can eat it, and it's not hard to get. Now, for this bread, they would usually split it into a few triangular sections, a little bit like a pizza, but not, because the bread is much, much thicker. Most of the time, the bread would be in kind of a cylinder shape. The bread would also be really thick. So the way they made the bread into sections without actually cutting it is that they use a string to make marks on the raw dough. And then they put it in the oven, and there you go. There are marks on the bread, and it makes it easier to tear apart. Now, if you look closely in the bread, you'll see that there's a hole in the middle. I honestly don't know what the hole is for, but I think maybe it's just the pan shape that the bread was baked in. This bread tastes the best with some soup on the side with it. For me, I'd really love to try this bread. I think it'd be pretty yummy because I love sourdough and I love soup. So I think this bread with soup is the best combination. If you go on social media, you'll find a few recipes for the ancient bread of Pompeii, but I've never tried one of those. I think it'd be really fun, even though I'm a little too lazy to try them, but I would love to eat the bread. I think it would be so yummy.
Hello kids, today let's talk about a very old and interesting city called Pompeii. A long time ago, more than 2,000 years back, Pompeii was a busy city in a country where we now call Italy. People lived, worked, and played there, just like in our cities today. But something amazing happened in Pompeii. Near this city, there was a big mountain named Mount Vesuvius. It was not just any mountain, but a volcano. In the year 79, this volcano erupted. That means it just exploded and sent out a lot of ash and rock. This ash covered the entire city of Pompeii. The city was buried under the ash for a very, very long time. Then about 250 years ago, people started to uncover it. They found that the ash kept the city almost like a time capsule. When they dug up the city, they found houses, shops, and even paintings on the walls all preserved. It was like traveling back in time. We also learned a lot about how people lived back then. They had markets, theaters, and beautiful homes. It's amazing how much you can learn from a city that was hidden for so long. That's the story of Pompeii, at least. A city frozen in time by a volcano a long time ago. In Pompeii, the streets were filled with life and activities. People would go to the market to buy food like bread, cheese, olives, and they loved to gather and chat in the market just like we do in our malls or parks today. In Pompeii, people also loved to watch plays and listen to music. They had a big open-air theater where they watch plays and performances. Just imagine sitting under the sky watching a play just like watching movies in open-air cinema. Romans also enjoyed sports and exercise. They had a place called a gymnasium where they could exercise similar to our gyms. They also enjoyed spa-like baths. These were public bathhouses where people could relax, swim, and chat with friends. These baths were a mix of swimming pool and a spa. One more final fun fact, Pompeii had fountains and a complex water system. They even had stepping stones in the streets so people could cross the road without getting their feet dirty. Isn't that just clever? So little kids, Pompeii tells us a lot about the ancient Romans. They lived lives not so different from ours. They ate, played, worked, and enjoyed their city, just like we do today. In ancient Pompeii, toilets were different from what we have today. They didn't have flushing toilets like we do. Instead, they had something called a communal latrine. These were public toilets, usually a long bench with holes in it, where many people could sit side by side. Yes, that means no privacy like we're used to. Interestingly, the Romans didn't use toilet paper. Instead, they used a tool called silospongium, or sponge on a stick, which is shared among everyone. After use, it will wash in the channel or running water in front of the toilet when the next person uses it. It sounds disgusting to me, but we're not in ancient Rome, so we're glad that we're not there. Even more interesting is that these toilets were social places. People would sit and chat with each other while they were using the latrine. They discussed news, gossip, and business. It's like a social gathering spot. I couldn't imagine the washroom being a socialization spot today, but they sure were in ancient Rome. They were like they were maybe like the high school bathrooms, so social place. The remains of these toilets in Pompeii gives a great insight into the daily life of the Romans. Like toilets ever do that in daily lives today. It shows how different things were back then, but also how clever the Romans were managing their city. So thank you for listening. That was the history of the Roman Empire. It's fascinating how a tiny city-state can rise into such a powerful empire that defined millennia of civilization and growth. Yeah, it always fascinates me sometimes. So thank you for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for the next episode. Outro gonna out in 3, 2, 1.